Hello, hello, hello. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, anywhere on a day in the world. This is not BOS television. This particular program, the Cantona, by Mohammed Shilon and Mr. Victor Mengot. And Happy New Year to everyone. From my perspective, because I was in here at the last presentation, so me, great and able colleague, Mr. Mengot, has been here alone, and thank you very much for ability for carry things in my absence. So, and thank you very much for listening to a program in the past, and I will hope and I will continue for listening to the program from here on. Now, today, February 1st, 2026. So, based upon the presentation Mr. Mengot made last week when I not be there, so with this now part 2 concerning constitutional review, part 2. What is next after Parliament, the parliamentary committee then get a hearing on what is being proposed concerning the constitution, changes and so on. Now, Mr. Mengot Naing will be the lead presenter here on those subjects or topics, and I will follow up with respect to any legal issue he might have with respect to whether I agree or disagree or I get anything for add or not. But he's going to be the main spokesperson because he knows a lot about government, legislative matters, legislative procedures, and we hope when I go listen, because there are issues here where we talk about. I know it's not particularly fascinating or attractive or interesting to a lot of people, but there are issues here concerning the Constitution. Now, the main thing we all as Australians should be concerned about, because Nain will deal with the future of the country and well-being, the future of we all when as citizens of the country as to how government conduct itself and how we government the treat we. So it may sound a little boring, and for people that will not understand anything, even educated people and people that will go to school, when you begin to talk about constitution, when you begin to talk about governance, that doesn't mean much to them. Because most people then wouldn't matter now how it affects them. But they deal with the issue before they become law and before it begins to affect we. Because we can see some of the pitfalls or some of the problems way in advance. And even with officials then where they're in a power, where they try to make some of them things have become laws, the officials then are the parliamentarians, then the people who they elect as parliamentarians. We include also the chiefs then who are elected to parliament. And then we law office of the Attorney General. We also they play a significant role. We know say them people some of them have their own motive. They are not going into this then proposal here, the amendment here with the best of intentions. Some of them are very sincere, but their intentions are questionable, or their expertise questionable, or some of the things that are not put out there long enough for people like we and other people who are interested for the good of the country for make we proposal, particularly where they overseas. They're not giving no opportunity for make any contribution to whatever they get in mind. And so we just want to bring that up to people. So if you get the time, listen, because you're not going to be a lawyer or a highly educated person. You just need common sense. You don't even get to go to school, since na Creole with the talk. So if you listen, you will see how you will come up with ideas where the bookman they not come up with, and some of the bookman then get your motive. Then they look at them here on a party basis. Forgive one party advantage over another party, not to which necessarily good for the country. So we encourage you now for please listen and participate. Call in. You would I can write, send in and reaching comments or questions. Would I get the courage for wait on the line? Please do so you will make your own contribution to them here. But this is critical, and some of them things here what Mr. Mengo going to talk about, or what we going to talk about, we get issues with some of the way they go about them, and so we just want to sound the alarm now, before something happens. Because when it becomes law, then the law that one day, like me, so I even get questioned as to whether some of the things that we would even call law are legitimately laws, because they don't follow procedures in passing them. But we'll get to that. So now, we now know the basic rules. If you call in, you get 3 minutes for talk, make your comments, and after 3 minutes, if you not finish it, the buzzer will automatically come on, the sound, the alarm will come on for tell you say your time don't run out. When the alarm they come on, you only get 15 seconds for wrap up what you say. If you're not finished, which is okay, just call back so you go in at the back of the line, because other people they might be waiting while you they talk. So if we're not correct or enforce that rule there for talk 3 minutes, then some people and they then go there on the line for 10, 15 minutes, they wait just for talk. So we try to be fair to everybody. Now, say we get different sources, avenues, where then they carry with transmission, with program, what VOS get. So the VOS network get different telephone numbers. Well, we get one main number, we get different numbers, but now one main number we use now. And then we get other sources or platforms. For example, let's start with the telephone number. Now the WhatsApp number, which we think say apply to everybody, now we give as the only number now. We not use all the other numbers then. So that number there now 1-343-997-5828 plus the sign plus 1-343-997-5828, WhatsApp number. So the call is free and you can hold for a while. It never cost you anything. Then now we also get a radio station, 91.9 FM, mostly in the Freetown area. So you can able to listen to it on the radio. This broadcasting, what would they do? And let me also remind people who are familiar with the show or the programs, the VOS programs them, who programs them mostly are live programs. So, and are worldwide. So now interactive. So as I talk, so everybody will listen, regardless of whose partner in the world you're there, is live. And if you call in, then we hear your voice worldwide where you ask questions and everything. So the radio station on 91.9 FM, but you get for download the VOS mobile app for be able to get that television, that radio station number there. Because in various parts, particularly in North America, if they call from there are other cities will get 91.9 FM stations there. So you're not going to be able to reach the Freetown station. So you get to download the app. If you download the app, then you will be able to get your point or your voice across for go a 91.9 FM, which is in Freetown, VOS radio 91.9. So also then they carry we through Facebook, X, when I be formerly Twitter. These are all, as this show to go on, so all then they carry on. YouTube, then they carry we live, so you can tune them and sources. Then you go wanna go see it. Okay, so YouTube now, VOS television, Facebook now, VOS television. If you go on Facebook, if you go on X, when I formerly Twitter, now VOS television. So if you go to the radio part, you know, that also is VOS radio.com. Okay, then like I say, go to the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store and download the VOS app. We are also carried on Twitch TV, which is VOS television. Now, we also get a non-profit. VOS also get a non-profit organization when they raise money for picking them. We financially or economically not able for continue school because the parents do not get the money. So that also we call on a non-profit scholarship or the VOS Diaspora Scholarship Program. You know, that in a www.vosdiaspora.org. www.vosdiaspora, one word, .org. This time for help the school picking them. Where one goes school, and parents do not get the money for adequately push them through school. Even if school fee is not being paid, there are other gadgets will go with going to school where parents they need for meet for be able to get them picking through the education system. That said, make a pass over to me colleague, Mr. Mengot. We'll go tell about the issues for today, and from there we'll move forward. Thank you very much. Mr. Mengot, over to you.
Well, Farm William, in a good day. Good afternoon if you're on the other pond, which is USA and Canada. Good evening if you're there in England. Last week, we come out with this constitutional amendment bill where the government been passed. Why I mean passed, it not go through parliament yet too, through all its stages. Government introduce them. They introduce them in accordance with laid down procedures, although they do it in a way where it make it easy for parliamentarians and other people them. But parliament using discretion. And why we get this constitutional amendment 2025? Now because we been get the tripartite agreement. And what's in the background of this tripartite agreement? The background of the tripartite agreement is like after the 2023 election, lot of draw been there about how the results we present them, whether we forget disaggregated results, waiting in at the constitution, waiting not in at the constitution. And as me friend when I a lawyer can say, if you're not specific in the constitution, that not mean to say it's right. It can be say way they draw any law, whether constitution, it depends on the spirit and the letter of the law. So now we don't get this much hype. And people let me know they wait for this. But we get ways they want to deal with issues in the parliament. The constitution may complain how for amend law. And also, the constitution may complain, say, who they go involve? The government, your side, the lead are from the Attorney General and Minister of Justice. Parliament their own side. Now the two sides of Parliament who again are the two main party them. When at the government side, where you get the leader of government business, now in the man where they make sure say the link between what the government want and how for make the members of Parliament them do the government in bidding. On the opposition side, you get leader of the opposition, where now they make sure say the people where they represent the party, not always the case. They discuss issue within the interest of the party executive and the members. So there is a whole lot of things the way they happen. But before we go further, today we want to talk about how you they amend constitution and waiting at the significance of the first term where they present this bill in Parliament when at the privilege. And then they self again that procedure there. Although under section 92 of the parliamentary constitution, Parliament get committees them, and also Parliament can make their own rules. But the way they start, we want to explain the procedures and processes. So we can get control room, not start first, now you're waiting the Attorney General say. Why they do what they do? And then we go see how this is relevant. Because now one of the most important things in this, now governance calendar.
So take me through, say we did with the constitutional review process. You don't begin or you don't do?
Well, I mean, the constitutional review process, we actually try for take them to conclusion now. We say we did right now working out the technical details, and that includes getting consultations on a few of the new provisions then, on some of the new chapters then, and really move into drafting proper. But the point is that, it's difficult for talk about who say we did now without talking about who say we don't come out. I know say people can discuss the constitutional review process in the context of say, the constitutional review committee, they do so and so work, or when they set up the committee or that in at the committee, we like to tell people and say the committee not there again. The committee actually was dissolved in 2017 after the late Justice Edmund Kawan be hand over the report to former President Nkrumah. And before that, we can recall say there was also the Peter Tucker Constitutional Review Committee, where the late President Kababe set up. That's really not be a product of one, which we signed at the Lome Peace Agreement in 1999 when we signed with the RAF. There was an acknowledgement say the guarantees we Constitution for provide. We go strengthen human rights. We go strengthen delivery of government services. We go strengthen the way we justice system, the work. We go strengthen with governance architecture. Not being strong enough inside the 1991 Constitution when I would use. So in the Lome Peace Agreement, there's a clause in there say government will review the Constitution. And remember say after that we'll be here for legislate the Lome Peace Agreement into law. And then we get the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, where INSEF, do in working at this country and then make a recommendation. Say for undertake broad consultations and review with Constitution and deliver something we go reflect the views and aspirations of the people of this country for a democratic society willing to economic development. And so now that make late President Kababe set up Peter Tucker Constitutional Review Committee. Yeah. We done in work in 2017, in 2007, sorry, hand over to former President Nkrumah because late President Kababe not step out at the time. But then former President Nkrumah been see the need for broader consultation. So now that make it set up the current Constitutional Review Committee. We been get 80 members, broadly representative, and then that committee they work from 2013 to 2017, and then hand report over to former President Nkrumah. In government, we for issue a white paper, 2017, and then but the process not been done. So when President Bill came to power in 2018, they make a commitment say they want to come to completion. So that's not the process now we will take to completion. So really we Saudi now working on the technical details. They try to make sure so we get consultations on a few of the technical issues, draft and ready for take them to Parliament.
we get less than 3 years to the elections, and you plan for when I hold a referendum at the same time we get to general elections.
Well, so we look at waiting feasible for the country. The good thing is we try for conclude the drafting process. We don't try for separate the process into two. One that we not see a lot of the proposals in there we touch on electoral reform. That's not the white paper I talk about. And then you also get the recommendations we come from the tripartite process. So what thing we don't do now that we don't take out the proposals we touch on electoral reforms, we don't put them at the same space with the tripartite recommendations. So then when in there, we don't draft already, we go gazette them so the public go see, and we plan say when Parliament resume, when Parliament come back from recess, we want to make this be the first order of business where Parliament they deal with. And then after that, we move on to the other proposals. We will touch on both non-entrenched and entrenched provisions in the Constitution. When we don't done that, now we view say at this point, with all the amendments in the nature and character of the 1991 Constitution don't change so much that we cannot continue to call it the 1991 Constitution, or call it a new Constitution. So instead of going into a referendum on just the entrenched provisions, we want to go into a referendum with a single question to the public, which will be a yes or no question on the new Constitution. Now, on the timeline for that, we do in active discussions. We will also go for consult with other actors for see when will be a good timeline for that. Whether we do them in the next 1 year, or we do them in 2027, or if it makes sense for me to move on to election day. So then when I think they will discuss right now.
Okay, so before the next elections or before President Birin tenure end, we will get a new constitution.
That now waiting we don't commit ourselves to.
Okay, Fambule, we don't agree the Attorney General, but I left my colleague. Let comment in this video, then we will go on the procedure, starting with the privilege, and now explain why they may get privilege. Because under Section 108 of the Constitution, where Nadande na show how they amend Constitution of country, there is that privilege na a committee stage. Explicit there. So why government choose to do that to go able to explain to inner the public there. Over to you, sir. We don't listen
All
to
right.
the AG.
Okay, just in brief, listening to the AG, I do not understand. In most instances, when it comes to national constitution, we are not talking about organizational constitution, we talk about national. The supreme law we get for deal with a country. I'm surprised that the minister say, or the AG say, the last time we had a committee dealing with that issue there, the issue of the formulation or the writing of a constitution, or a constitutional committee was 2017 or 2018. Since then, there has not been any. So it appears as if the current process for the past 6 or 8 years has been purely in the hands of the government. So if we are serious for come up with a sound or objective constitution, an independent committee of reputable members of the community, people with integrity, will be called upon by that committee there, which existed before, because the Attorney General said once upon a time there were about 80 members. Okay, now there is none. Then take that one day, then put her in the hands of the government, almost 100%. Well, as a general human tendency, The government, if not then no more this choreograph the drafting of a constitution, we are about to make the same mistake as we've repeatedly made over the years. When Abdullahi Conte, Dr. Abdullahi Conte, them and the APC, first you get in the 70s, you get Dr. S.J. Pratt. He alone, I believe, drafted a constitution for the country, all in the interest, not necessarily the best interest, in the interest of APC. That didn't serve us too well. Then 1991 Constitution, Dr. Abdullahi Conte, then self-word and draft again, then skew them in the interest of the APC that was in power at the time, not what was in the national interest. And my concern has always been, with all due respect, a constitution is a specialty area in the law. You need constitutional scholars. You just don't need lawyers. Even if you graduate now, you law school class number 1, that does not necessarily qualify you for draft or sit down for draft a constitution. It's a special talent. It's a special expertise. So when we just take people there, I like to know that 80-member and committee day where the Attorney General referred to. How many of them on that committee day were scholars, constitutional scholars? How many of them? How many of them were lawyers who had argued solid constitutional cases in court? You know, how many of them knew much beyond the basics of a constitution? And these are reputable people, these are educated people. I, for one, I'm not a constitutional lawyer, but I'm a lawyer. I believe I'm well educated, but you just can't give me a constitution for right, not to me expertise down there. I could serve on a committee with someone who knows more than I do. But it doesn't seem that that's the approach we take back home. With us to go by the reputation of the person, the big named people, you know, who may not serve us that well when it comes to writing the constitution, okay? And so I would like to know how many people that are 80-member committee there during the Cowan era, we really get the required or the requisite qualification to serve on that committee there. That's one. Then the other thing now, they seem like we don't put this all in the hands of the government. Well, the government mostly is going to try to draft something that is advantageous to them. And since we get a party basis with system to run on, ego, just like our Dr. Abdullahi Conte, they make that mistake there, just like our Dr. S.J. Pratt didn't do them before. Now the same thing, the current Attorney General, he's going to look at things purely from the standpoint of what is beneficial to them party and the current government, and then party will go all, the law will be skewed in such a way as to keep one party in power, not to necessarily do the democratic thing as we know it. So I don't think that is sound. This idea of just leaving the whole thing in the hands of the Attorney General and the office. So these are some of my observations then, right now. And I will comment on that as we go, as we proceed. But I'm concerned. I think a constitution will try for just draft and once and for all, so it can withstand the test of time. Sierra Leone is just too small a country and too young a country, because we're only, well, yeah, fairly young compared to a lot of other countries. 65 years or so since independence. But look how many times we don't get for draft and redraft the constitution. And even right now, I don't think we're going about it the right way, because this consultation, the other issue I get with now the process of consultation, how is it done? Then I also want to bring up the idea that we in the diaspora are being left out completely. They don't make any effort. And I know some sound, very sound, well-educated Sierra Leoneans who are lawyers here in the United States, in Canada, in Australia, in England. And so you get a very strong diaspora of legally educated people, not to mention people with sound degrees in political science, in government, and many other things. So we're not even make the effort to bring them kind of people into the mix. You know, these are people who know a lot of stuff. We're not tap on the qualification, on the education, on the experience at all. So these are some other things in a way that really concern me. You know, so I just want to point that out. Back to you, Mr. Mengot.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. I think, sir, what you go do for let people that understand the process, right? For me, I like for reference what in the Constitution say. Then in section 108 of the Constitution with the subtitle Alteration of the Constitution. First of all, you get for draft a bill for an act of parliament. When you don't draft the bill, the Attorney General for putting at the Gazette. Waiting at the Gazette. Most people don't know waiting at Gazette. Gazette na a document because we been go and work in a government service when they get all government information. In fact, not only new laws the way they pass na parliament, but also get bylaws them where government, like local government, the constitution make provision for let them make bylaws them. Waiting a bylaws, laws them where for their own area, their own environment, where unique to the area under the governance. But then bylaws and they not get for they contrary to any existing act of parliament or the constitution. So if you want to take the hierarchy of laws them, now understand that. Number one, now the constitution. Now the number one law. Prima facie. Now the first law. Under that, you get acts of parliament. If we look at in this context, acts of parliament, nothing the way the constitution allow law them for be made. So in this particular tool they deal with, we get two particular law where they review under this constitutional amendments clauses in their law. And they one, now the Public Elections Act 2022. We show all na the latest version and they all waiting at the electoral management system. Either them for big commissioner, either for conduct the election, or them for announce the results, things for do with election violation, things for do with how they present certificates to either they win the election. Then we also get another law. When a PPRC, when the Political Parties Regulatory Commission law, when the body down there we're responsible for look at all issues for political party in terms of the constitution, how then they deal with the members them, how then they follow their own procedures them, how then they make sure say nobody not disadvantaged if you're a party member. In fact, when you get dispute with your party, now the first body down the way they go to. Now, unless you not agree, now you go to Supreme Court. Recently, forget a test case, we see where some Sumana been go for go say they want to discriminate against them in terms of the APC constitution. The Political Party Regulation Commission decide and the party accept. Also, the PPRC get powers for punitive measures then. Waiting at them punitive measures them. Anything where a political party member or executive member will cause a breach of peace or incitement, they could be fined, and we see recently they fined the two political parties. So now the second hand, then you get laws the way they below the hand, when I call delegated legislation, where in any act they get laws them we allow the minister who is responsible for that act for make laws without going back to parliament, and it go put under the gazette. So similarly now, when we want to do this change, all what government want to do, according to the act, first, they get for put under the gazette. That gazette there, now government printers, now they put all the notice. Then I for sure what's in a government intention. Then at the first publication. Then after that, not less than 9 days after that, they for put a second version. Waiting at the reason why they put on now the gazette. Now for let the public know say, this is what government want to do. Where you now, when a member of the public, can contact your MP and say, hey, I listen and so government want to do, but we not agree or we agree. Now, here is a controversy. According to my own knowledge of parliamentary rules and procedures under the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association. A bill where they go to parliament, you get forget a first reading. Waiting at that first reading day. Then at the introduction of the bill. But this time, this particular one, because of the national interest, Parliament say, before they do the first reading, let them go take a committee stage. Waiting at that community stage, they call them pre-legislation. It means before legislation, which already don't cause some controversy, in my view. Because Parliament, according to the Constitution, Section 93, there are committees they will call standing committee. This is not committee them where they appoint every year for the life of Parliament. The number one, now the legislative committee. Now they consider all laws them where they go through the committee stage. You get the finance committee, you get the committee on appointment and public service, you get the foreign affairs and international cooperation committee, you get the public accounts committee, you get the committee of privileges when they talk about. So what thing government do or parliament do, then carry this bill go now the committee and invite all the MP them, Master Sabi people them, lawyer them, community groups, let them go discuss them. Then send a consultation. Which for me, it may be right according to Parliament, because now they get way for make the rules and then they under the standing order. But in not they under Section 108 of the Constitution. And as they can say, if you know they, that don't mean to say it's illegal. It depends on interpretation. So now we don't go into this pre-legislative committee stage. Then now, Boku people they don't get their opinion. And we can get some of the video then. And their opinion and they, we do hope say, Parliament take into consideration their opinion and they, because it means when we MP and they debate the bill, and when they go to the community stage, now the stage where you get for go through the first reading, with that first reading there, now they say, well, now the process they begin. Where in the first reading, now the people in the well of Parliament, all the MP them, now then they go discuss them. And when they discuss them, they get for put into a vote. And for put into a vote, it means before you go to the second stage, when at the second reading, you can forget the 2/3 majority. Now, here is the conundrum. That 2/3 majority, is it a holistic 2/3? Or members will be allowed to look at the clauses and say, well, yes, although agree, but subject to amendment, we're going to make it go to the committee stage before the second reading. So over to you, sir, where they explain them process here. And one of the things where the Attorney General say, because most people in concern, the Constitution under Section 108 get waiting and called entrenched clause and non-entrenched clause. How for amend them? Entrenched clause na thing where you cannot change without a referendum. What you do they make an entrenched clause? It means since that the people they approve the Constitution, you get certain things like eligibility for become a member of parliament. Where some of them, part of them are entrenched clause. The time of parliament, the duration of parliament, because they're saying 5 years after every election. Now some of them changes their way, they say fixed date to November. If one go by that, which means we forget the election in November 2028, that needs approval to a referendum. We see another thing we don't come now where they say, in the Constitution, if you're not naturalized citizen, what do they mean by naturalized citizen? You get two types of naturalized citizen.
Of citizenship.
You get people them when have been non-Sierra Leoneans, we can naturalize, say, I want to be Sierra Leonean. Then give them citizenship. Then you get like some of we left the country, we were Sierra Leoneans by birth. That's where the diaspora people in Kansai. But due to circumstances beyond we control, where we find ourselves in England, America, Australia, certain privileges they will get for enjoy, for survive. If we not get that country and citizenship, we not going to enjoy them privileges. So some of we don't take different citizenship. When I mean bring the two-sim argument. So now they want to reverse and say, now, here is the controversy. If you're not a naturalized citizen, they want to say no, because before, you cannot be even a member of parliament. And also you cannot be a minister, because for being a minister, you have to be a member of parliament. So now the law won't change. But it only linked to for being member of parliament and minister. But it no extend to presidency. Because for be president, number one, you get for be, for be a dual citizen. Remember recently, the question we made, he said, in willing for give up in British citizenship for contest the presidential election. So, if they allow you for contest as an MP under the new proposed changes, where you're not dual citizen, why not presidency? Waiting at the difference. They will also get new introduction where say you can stand for presidential election as an independent candidate. Again, if you now a naturalized citizen, you can be MP. Why should they stop you for letting stand as an independent? So these are some of the controversies. And waiting the Attorney General say before we go further, he said them proposal we bring, although na elections management, but when they can go parliament, anything like some of them things I have mentioned too, when an entrenched clause, then go deal with it in 3 ways. Number one, you either expunge them. What I mean expunge them, you remove them from the bill. Number two, you vote for them and agree. That is where the controversy comes. But the final bill, it not going to be included, it will be excluded. Because when you get a final bill for go to president, you can forget a certificate from the speaker. So then they not go in at the certificate, because if you didn't have the certificate, it is a violation of the constitution. Because it's an entrenched clause. When mean that entrenched clause, you cannot change them if we're not going to referendum. So the issue is, why do all this in piecemeal? Get a bill, we get non-entrenched clause just for election. They get other issues than they. When an entrenched clause, where you say, okay, we done this now, we will take this bill where government, parliament approve, they will go back to other issues them, within the tripartite report, things to do with police. Because Police Act in 1965, the tripartite report talk about amending the Police Act of 1965. Because the police then get for be neutral in exercising the law. They get for protect every candidate regardless of a particular. So we get so many things we will do. So the question is, who still again now, according to the Attorney General, part 2, now for combine all entire come with one new document. Other than they do that document day, do we have time? What if we don't get time for referendum? What happens? So there are more questions and answers. So let's stop there. Let me colleague himself come and Rob more on some of the issue I would always.
Thank you, Mr. Mengot. Let me start off with this section 108. The process we're listening to you as you describe them, it looks like Parliament is finding a convenient way for circumvent them, for go around them. You know, because to me, your understanding, Parliament lacks the authority. Parliament does not have the power for circumvent any law where they in the Constitution. Any law where Parliament pass for be consistent, you know, for be in conformity with the provisions of the Constitution. This is where this entrenched and non-entrenched clauses then come in. Okay, so like you say, instead of doing this thing piecemeal, right, piecemeal, why they not just decide, say, okay, there are so many entrenched laws then, existing laws in the Constitution that we may need to modify, forget some of the laws they want for work in conjunction with each other. So because of that, why would not do a wholesale revamping of the Constitution rather than to have let the Constitutional Committee just stay in suspense or become non-existent for the past 8 years or more, just rather than let that committee there go dormant as it has become. I thought this would have been the primary responsibility, because I think still we seem not to understand the significance of a constitution for a country. I don't think it's the thing that you can create for benefit to one group of people. In mind, even in the United States, it happened. When they first came up with all in thing here, black people were not counted as people. Women were not counted as, even white women were not given the right to certain privileges where white men then get. So that's why you have to, they end up having so many amendments, you know, to the American Constitution. So you go think, so we go learn from that. So when we try to create a constitution, we don't need to go through everything where America go through. We just need to start off knowing what we know and what exists. So we're making things difficult for ourselves. And the only reason why I think that it happened is because these things are not being done in good faith. They are not being done in good faith for say, well, let we come up with law that would withstand the test of time, that will serve on generations to come. It's a matter of giving, and we are so high on this political party symbol that we cannot allow ourselves to look beyond that. And the irony of it all is just like, let's say you pass a law which will benefit SLPP. But a SLPP today can be an APC tomorrow. So you haven't done the country any good, because all these people have to do is switch parties, as we get a lot of them. We get a lot of SLPP people now who were once upon a time APC parliamentarians, APC ministers. So we therefore try to do something in a way, conscientiously, for try to help the country on the good foot, you know? And then Mr. Mengo to make an observation, which sounds very interesting to me, classification of citizenship. I was under the impression, as we do here, we have naturalized citizens, we have citizens, and the classification that the one that were born here, who, for example, if you're not born here, you know, go run for the presidency. There's a psychological aspect to that. Even if you were raised there, even if you grow up having the American mentality, for some reason, and people say, if you're not born there, you for be disqualified for running for the presidency. You can run for the Senate, you can run for governor, you can run for mayor, you can run for the House, the Congress, but only the presidency you are prohibited from. But it seems like what we do now, we make two classifications of naturalized, and what do you mean understand by naturalized? If you, now within the country you adopt a citizenship, not today you're born. Now by administratively you go through a process for get them. That makes you a naturalized citizen. But now we create another category among those kind of people. Therefore say, even if you're born in Sierra Leone, you left Sierra Leone, you come abroad, and somehow acquire another citizenship, you know, and you know reject, you know, renounce your citizenship of Sierra Leone, and I'm being told, according to what I hear Mr. Mengo say, you are disqualified from holding certain offices. Well, this is where the lawyer in me comes in. Instead of leaving all that thing in the hands of politicians, then take the law as it is and take it to court. Let the Supreme Court get work for do, because then decisions there, they will serve again generations wrongly or rightly. So my question is, what reasonable basis are they arguing? Or what redeeming social value are they arguing? That if I was born and in fact raised in Sierra Leone, by virtue of the fact that I acquire a foreign citizenship and did not renounce my Sierra Leonean citizenship, I don't think the government for so easily be able for just, or some parliamentarians and just go around. Before independence, maybe that could be done because Parliament was supreme. Parliament could pass any law. acts of parliament were the supreme laws of the land. I can understand that. So there was nothing you can do. But now that we have constitution, the lawyer should make it a duty. Any such law will not based on reasonableness should be tested in court, should be taken to court. So for instance, why should I be deprived of my this is not my birthright of a country where I was born, where I was raised, where I went to school, where I have blood relatives, and you were saying because me journey take me out of that country, forget better education, for can help the same country where I come out, where I get that education there now. If I see myself fit for become president, I should be deprived of it just by virtue of the fact I take citizenship in another country. So let someone explain the reasonableness of such a law. What does Sierra Leone loses? I mean, what is Sierra Leone loss if I am a citizen of 10 countries? You know? I mean, like someone needs to explain what is this, how does it become disadvantageous to Sierra Leone? How does it become disadvantageous for me for run to become president? If I get more for offer the people, and which are the same makes sense, why not let the people decide? This same requirement, this same law, before independence, before constitution, it would have worked. But now we get a constitutional issue of whether, in fact, legislatively, it is constitutional under the Sierra Leone Constitution. These are some of the things that I would like to see the lawyers in the test. Push these things to the courts and let the court, now the court may become political. They may not look deeply into it as we want them to be. If that's the way they want to portray themselves, because the courts are just not a piece of pen and paper, like human beings, they attach the names to them, laws then they. So there will be judges where if they want to become political and not put intellectual depth into the process and decide to give political decision, so be it. History will judge them. But until we take then challenges they are to the courts, because there are so many things where the courts will be involved in that the court, for example, when you get after a general election, where if the other side become the losing party or parties become dissatisfied, then give you only 3 days to raise an issue and go to court. Is that reasonable time to make an assessment as to whether you can get standing and illegal standing for go to court? I think that should be tested because I think the time is unreasonable. I think the only reason for such a short period is to deprive another party from being able to do so. When we get forgive the courts serious role, but we allow the courts not to be involved in areas where we should be involved. That doesn't necessarily mean the court will do the right thing. They are supposed to, but they could become political. But if they do, under the present circumstance, that's the way it is. But not to take the entire to court, or like where the AG and the try for do so now, trying to circumvent the Constitution, like this section 108, by coming up with laws then and trying to muzzle up entrenched clauses of the Constitution as against just legislation. I don't think entrenched clauses can be changed by, well, not as a matter of I don't think, it cannot. Anything we're entrenched in the Constitution, no amount of legislation can change them, except as the Constitution requires. Or, so that's the reason why if we're going to write a new Constitution, let's do the whole thing in one, not begin changing piecemeal by piecemeal. And this thing about not getting the diaspora involved, taking rights away from we, without even getting in touch with us or consulting us or asking us, but yet we play such a major role, particularly economically, to the well-being of the country. I think it's a great disservice to the country. And what's so unfortunate, the vast majority of people who serve in the government like ministers, as well as parliamentarians, I don't know, see the vast majority, but a good many of them are people who once upon a time live abroad. So I don't know if then they go right with the right frame of mind, then with the complaint say we're not progressing. Well, now when they come, now when they run for the offices here, now when they think progressively, but if when I begin think in terms of when I self alone, not to waiting good for the country, as if you will live forever, no matter what privilege you're enjoying today, they will come, you particularly will come to an end, because all of us have to die one day or the other. So why don't you just try to do what's good for the country? If you choose to go the political route, if you choose to become a parliamentarian, if you choose to become a judge, nobody says you have to take that job there, but when I take them with the right intent and purpose. So a lot of harm is being done to the country, and this thing about leaving this whole constitutional issue in the hands of the government, they are bound to skew or frame them what is to their advantage, not to what is good generally for the country. And like when Mr. Mengo talked about this Police Act of 1965, I am one person who've always argued, the action of the police in many instances is highly, highly, highly unconstitutional. When the police would just decide to say, well, I hear you talk, say so and so. Nobody complain about it. Not even the person where you comment about. But the police upon themselves just feel say, and they use the contradictory word of invite. We invite you. Then they say the invitation literally doesn't mean an invitation. It means an order. So all them things should be tested in court. If the police invite me, do I have a right to say, no, I don't want to go? And should that be a crime? Can I be forced because I reject the police's invitation? Or should the word invitation or the phrase be changed to an order from the police? And if it becomes an order, it will be constitutionally based. You can't say because one of the police who does give an order for you can't talk to we, So there are so many things where we're not to take seriously, we're not to follow the right way. And then I make 5 years, 7 years, 8 years from now, and we go keep doing this repetition of constitution being rewritten. And the one that, look, the Peter Tucker, the George Cowan, all the one with Justice Cowan, these are people who have all passed. So today we will make all this noise. We'll be making noise about the vast majority of people who are talking about constitution now because we have not written the constitution in a way that we now get for die, another generation die, just trying to forget the right frame of mind or the right kind of constitution. So almost all the people who put the constitution together, they have all dead. They are all died. All of them are dead. So how long are we going to keep this? Is this going to be part of our own political process? Every 5 years, every 10 years, every 15 years, we're talking about amending constitution. Not because we not get the knowledge, it's because we don't want to remove ourselves from the biased state of mind. So again, let me stop here just to give Mr. Mengot the opportunity for continue with the analysis.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. We don't get the privilege, which is good. It was all over the radio, all over TV. But again, I like to go into parliamentary rules and procedures. Sierra Leone, we get a hybrid constitution. And I mean, for refer to we stand in order in parliament, because now they show our bills and they go through. But again, it's shame on our parliament that for the past 6 weeks, the website's not a work. Waiting at the reason, because an important thing like this, waiting at the history, there should be a parliamentary website functioning. But this time we are away the Attorney General, they say, I go check this week, sometimes I go make with discussion next week, very useful. Say, in they start a website listen, and now the Attorney General they start a website where say all Lentiana Ingo put on there, including the Gazette draft bill and all some of them issues there where they no raise. But in the lawmaking process, before we go to some video, Sierra Leone will get the Westminster model. What do I mean by the Westminster model? We are a member of the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association and they get rules and procedures for bill. Under the Westminster type, it means the first reading, because that for Apple now, we don't get privilege. Because privilege are making to people in the committee stage. Whether an American constitution or parliamentary practice or the Commonwealth practice, there is no way they go at committee stage like what and do before the first reading. But I go like for emphasize say it is not wrong according to parliamentary procedures. Because I need the one that will stand in order. But it makes them very complex. Now, in the British system, the first reading the introduction, the title of the bill and everything, then it will be printed after that first reading day. And that first reading day, mostly when they vote on the bill, now by voice. Now make cloak here and say, as many as agree, say aye, aye. To the contrary, no, no. And from Britain, we take them. Now, volume, now they take. Then you go say the ayes have it or the noes have it. Which normally they agree for let the bill go. Under the British system, after that first reading day, then they talk now when the next reading of the bill. Now, there we won't start. In the American system, after the first reading, it goes straight to committee stage. When we start with, you see how they do things wrong side? We start with the committee first. So let's say we go to the British system after the first reading, then they say the second reading. But according to section 108 of the Constitution, during that second reading day, now that's when they debate the bill in the well of Parliament, if one follow the Salone pattern. And when they debate that bill in the well of Parliament, then therefore debate them clause by clause, one after the other, and vote on each clause individually rather than holistically, because they all get their implications. And for any clause for be taken forward, again forget 2/3 majority for let it go at the committee stage. If you not get 2/3 majority, it should be taken out of the bill. So now we go watch Parliament for see how they go through this whole thing, because the Constitution clearly say that 2/3 majority, and that 2/3 they now of 2/3 of MPs alive, not dead, or not to members present, but 2/3 of MPs. So for instance now, we get 149 members of Parliament. So it can be 2/3 of that. So we're going to watch Parliament, make sure say they follow the procedure. I just want to clarify that point there. So for go further, we can ask the control room. Now we're going to two key issues. First, wiring from the opposition, waiting at their own concern, Mr. Abdul Kagbo, where he comments about this new threshold where they don't put for the presidency. Because under the present constitution, we say 55% first round. Say if now 5 people stand as president, if nobody not get that 55% there, then the 2 top candidates will go to a second round where that 10 day. na the majority vote. But now, Lord, listen to Mr. Abdul Kagbo. Lord, you're waiting in say. Because there are the two main parts of the election. We have the presidential election where we are waiting Mr. Kagbo to say. Then get the parliamentary election and the local government election where we are waiting the deputy speaker say. Lord, comment on the video then. Because this is not evidence-based. Also, let remind we listeners say, I can call him. Because this is an issue where now we all business. Whether you're in a home base, you're in a diaspora, you're not Tusim, or you're not Trisim like me, we all get part for play. So control room, while I listen to the opposition first.
Now, then they repeal the provision where Toxi, we forget
the search committee.
No. Now waiting in the do now. Remember, in the constitution, any side and call institutional representation. Yeah, like say we say representation from the Interreligious Council, representation from the Sierra Leone Bar Association, representation from the labor union, all of them things then they. Any side where you get institutional representation, not to government, they make that appointment.
Now the decision and the
now the institution, now then the sense say, yeah, go represent we. Yeah, go represent we. And that was the intent of the tripartite committee, and that was the recommendation. But waiting then carry it now in parliament, now that they say president now in the appoint the committee, then instead of a representation from the Sierra Leone Bar Association, then they say one member from the Bar Association. You understand, eh? One lawyer one lawyer of Tusu standing from the bar. Instead of them say a member nominated by the Interreligious Council, then say one member from the Interreligious Council.
With the president they appoint.
Yes.
So the power is still there with the president.
It's still there with us, so no work done. So the same way they go waste the that they will never have gone there, they should have still left the president for let's still appoint. Because now the intent standing. We're quite different now from waiting then at the bill we did before we. You understand? We are trying to solve a problem. We not for go back to the problem we will try for solve. Quite apart from that, in the tripartite recommendation, they agree say well, waiting we for do now, especially with the elections result. Yeah, we forget 50 plus 1, and somebody forget they forget 25% in half of the district. That was agreed upon in the tripartite recommendations. The bill will come before we in a parliament, then pull the 50 plus 1, then say simple majority. Then pull the 25%, then say 20%. Then pull half of the district, then say 2/3 of the district. I don't watch, the elections results from where APC begin contest till now. APC has never gotten 20% in 2/3 of the district. So you are saying APC should never come to governance if that law is passed. You understand? And to me, I not feel say we for create laws them where they make we tighten ourselves na the political space. Quite apart from that, even the district, whether they say half of the district, me not feel say
11
yes
or so of the 60.
Yes, me not even feel say if will be tied down to district. I will tell you why. Me not a lawmaker.
Yeah.
And I believe say with me knowledge in lawmaking, I will never agree follow we turn down to district representation. I'll tell you why. Now, who that they create district? Now the president. On the advice of 3 people then. The Minister of Finance, the Chief Electoral Commissioner, and the Minister of Local Government. After they go advise president, then just they stand the statutory instruments in parliament. When they lay the statutory instrument in parliament, you, we want annul and we no one time. We say this statutory instruments are not one time. You get forget 2/3 majority for annul the statutory instrument. So meaning, if you go tie them down to government can grab no more today. Minister of Finance, Minister of local government, and the commissioner advise president say, "Look, create 30 districts." You not subject to anybody. Say, "Look, create 30 districts." Now just aside when they go with na parliament, 33 instruments, and then create the district. And when they create the district, then they know they change the law. Say half of the district. So even if the new district they when they create, now they're your region. You understand? Now they're your region. It means say the law still stand now the constitution. So me entirely because you know nobody no get control over the creation of district. Other president then go abuse them. Then go abuse them.
Okay.
And what we they make law? What we they make law for? Not to for constrict the political space, or not to for entrench yourself into governance.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we hear from the opposition. Now, two issues that it bring come, and then they come from the tripartite report, a recommendation. The first, when are the most important thing, now the elections management system. Who therefore they in charge of the elections? Because under the present system, with the constitution, if you go to the constitution, it talk about section 38, 9 deal with the electoral commission. Who there and who therefore be members of the electoral commission. So presently, you get the chief electoral commissioner. Then each region get one commissioner. So you get commissioner for Western region, commissioner for Eastern region, commissioner for Southern region, commissioner for the North, and commissioner for the Northwest. So apart, and why they create commissioner for the Northwest, you know, we don't get Karine and Falaba under the other government. It look like now this tit for tat, because now that this man they talk about. So then take down it directly from the tripartite recommendation. And that tripartite recommendation, they in recommendation 36. Nine of the issue where they mentioned. Under recommendation 36, it talked about for amend section 32(3) of the Constitution and section 2 of the Public Elections Act. So now two laws that they amend. Number one, they amend the Constitution when at the primary legislation, when at section 32(3). It also amend section 2 of the Public Elections Act. And what that means is say we forget a search committee, a nominating committee of appointment of all members of the Electoral Commission. Because the chairman, neither the returning officer for all the elections. Then each region get a commissioner. So, the overall number of women in line with GIWI for the day, including one from each of the following. Waiting at GIWI, gender and women empowerment. So it means they talk about 30% representation. If they talk about interreligious council, bar association, civil society, labor congress, Sierra Leone Association of Journalists, women's organization, and youth. But look at me. If they say women's organization, they already make provision for them. Then it also means there are other groups and then for they in line with the GIWI Act, which means 30% women representation. But again, you look at we know so they try for equality. Why not men representation? I just want to throw it down there. Why not men? Because when they make them lawyer, they go back to even the Constitution itself when they talk about discrimination. So therefore, be very careful. So he said within 6 months of the establishment of this search committee, yeah, the Electoral Commission ain't go finalize the job description and roles and response. Now the president now get for a point. That is what the opposition they against. They get problem with that. The second one, now section 53 of the tripartite report. That is the most controversial one. We talk about the threshold for presidency. What in that say? The tripartite say 50 plus 1 vote of the total valid vote cost nationally. But the recommendation in the act say simple majority. What does that simple majority mean? It's ambiguous. So in other words, some man will say, if now 5 people now stand simple majority, you mean you want to get the most votes, or is it still the 50 plus 1? We know they make law like be ambiguous. Then you talk about districts. 25% of vote cast. What if somebody, 2 persons stand, the top 2? The first one get simple majority, but you not get the number or percentage of votes, now 2/3 of the districts, we're not 20%. Then the second person get 2/3 now the number of votes cast in the district, but not get simple majority. But here is the problem. Under the present law, when you don't get 55%, now that time they go into second election when a first past the post. Would get the highest, regardless of if you get 48, the other man get if you get 46, the other man get 37, depending on the votes, now you go win. But this new proposition, it not tell you if none of the 2 candidates not get the threshold. If we go to a second runoff, whether you go apply the same threshold, it is very controversial. It open a whole kind of worm. So let not go further. Let left me legal man for comments on the 2 hour make.
Okay, let us start with the second round issue. To me, it looks like only if now the second round then for require the simple majority. Okay, then the reverse thing where Bidel raised that point there. This 25% of the district, I think it's not reasonable. It defies the basic rules of democracy. Using the same Sierra Leone, and then you see for complicate matters, once upon a time we get Eastern Province, Southern Province, Northern Province, Western area. But let's say if we want to have a bit fancy, we say Western Province. That should have been acceptable. Well, now we begin to come up with Northeast, Southwest, you know, this kind of thing. For what reason? What unfortunate reason for all the geographic classifications there? Why is it not democratic if I, using myself as an example, if I became so popular to me people, then I say I'm from the Western area, but what I'm preaching is what the people want to hear, what drives the people, then I get sufficient votes in the South, sufficient votes in the East, sufficient votes in the North, but I don't get 25% in all the area, okay, of the districts, but cumulatively, I get 55% of the national vote. Why shouldn't that qualify me? Why should I be disqualified because I now win 25% of the seats? Now, a certain district. When we talk about democracy, we talk about majority vote. Sounds to me like the critical way where the United States Constitution, election is conducted. I used to think the United States is the only place in the world where the majority, you can win the majority vote and lose. But the way we get under this requirement of 25% of the district, I think it's nonsensical. It's undemocratic. Because once you get the 51% or 50 plus 1, regardless of how you get them, you should be the victor. Then this 25% of the district is putting unreasonable restraints on the democratic process. Again, my solution for all in here, go to court, stop the Attorney General and the Parliament, they all try to get an injunction, let us get into the matter. Now, there is some procedural thing I don't seem to understand back home. Now, I will say go to court. I get the feeling, I'm not so sure, I haven't read it, but procedurally it looks like the court that has original jurisdiction is the Supreme Court. I hope I'm wrong. Because on matters of this type, the Supreme Court cannot get original jurisdiction because you forget a fact-finding court, like the High Court, for find the facts. Supreme Court, not for them to find fact-finding, then for them into what we normally would call legalese, argue the legal points and relevance of what has been reached. So I don't know, I hope I'm wrong, but any instance in which you make the Supreme Court a fact-finding institution or section of the court, I think that's an unwise use of the Supreme Court's time, But going back to what this 25% and threshold, it's not reasonable to me at all. I don't think that should be a requirement. It's an unreasonable restraint on the process. That would be my argument about it, because why do I have to win at least 25% of any district? If I can win cumulatively, all I should be able to do was persuade or convince sufficient people to vote to get at least 51 plus 1% of the total vote cast. That should be sufficient. That's not national based. So I can lose an entire province or section of the country and still be able to win the general election. So again, it's clear what is happening here. These laws are not being, their proposals are not being made for the good of the country. It's just to give one, like how Mr. Nkabo himself said. He said that means by your interpretation, this is a clever way of excluding APC to ever come to power. But it's a dangerous thing, because now human beings then they run country, not necessarily the symbol or the symbolism of a party. So me not against other parliamentarians where they switch from APC to SLPP. I'm not too worried with that. But for make them in such a way, and we are repeating the same mistake where APC make with Dr. Abdullah Kontedem. Craft the constitution in such a way as to believe, which I think is so unbelievable, that nothing unforeseen will ever happen to make APC forever and ever be the controlling political party in Sierra Leone, and things happen. But I think somebody was saying the other day, people have a tendency not to learn from history. We just have a tendency not to learn from history. I mean, the other party now in power is trying to do the same identical thing what APC do. And somehow down the line, they have not been able and will never be able to look through the crystal ball. It will backfire somewhere down the line if when I approach the Constitution from that perspective, it will backfire. It backfired in the 60s. If you go back, you check, how APC became prominent when Sir Albert thought he had everything under control. Had Canterbury to load ballot boxes in the north because Sir Albert thought the SLPP would not be get support in the north. And what happened? It came out the way you never expected. Okay? So now we're trying to do the same thing again. And I always come up with some maybe it's just a coincidence. The country works better with multi-party system. When we used to forget one party get the majority, the smaller party them and get together and support and then support behind one party, as we see what can happen in Israel and some other democratic country. That's good for us. This thing, and then that's why I'm so disappointed at APC, when with the tripartite, then join SLPP for try to eliminate the smaller parties there, when are the best thing down there for the country. The smaller parties should be encouraged to stay alive because they have the balance of power. But everybody is so anxious to get this power and never ever want to leave and want to cook the system, and it will never work. I don't care. We are not that clever. You go do all you want, but as long as you deal with human beings, if you're not doing it the right way, it will backfire. Well, history does show that, but we try to pretend it not going to happen again. SLPP, if we draw the law, the way we intend them for prevent all other parties from coming to power, which is a disservice to the country. If we do that, it will backfire. It may not be in a lifetime, but that same thing they will work against this party even try that, because there is evidence to show that. So there was a call a few minutes ago. I would like to, let me see if I can take that call. Hello caller, what's your name? Who's the call from?
Good evening. Well, gentlemen, Happy New Year to una all. Mr. Kagbo also, because now the first call this one make in the new year.
Welcome. Thank you.
If not be hearing me voice system, my voice the what we don't do, what we talk about this review. I always don't talk. I'm say the best option for review the constitution, not for day in the hands of government, because in the end they will just go select the good things them where they favor them, or the insert things they where they favor them. You're not gonna be the good. There is no way you go call APC, SLPP can't do something where they not go one mastermind the APC or vice versa. So if they be serious for do any review where it go be in the interest of the country, like how, well, even though we don't talk a lot about ABK misrule or whatever, but at least in full handy, he allow the people that wouldn't give the review committee for do their job. Now we don't count the paper and I reject them. We'll congratulate them for that. Because at least in our talk say, okay, power now this one for take like whatever they want try them. Because today I just listened to AYV, he don't begin back what thing they do. They say who died in a parliament. Now then they talk about when they say members of parliament. You don't start back, they don't start back. So as they put them so then go carry and go just now, it go pass. So the APC and the SLPP will never have the good intentions, because this all accountability, the APC, SLPP they try for escape, because they don't benefit from the critics that will be criticized, ABK and the regime, state and command of power, and then no say it's very real. Even 2023 would have been a real chance if they allow register people and they count the votes the way people vote. But the news say if they make them open, they not go get what they want. They make them the manipulation them beaucoup away can bonically for TIF election. So briefly back, I'm not going to get that talk when I talk about them small parties, and they are not going to talk about when I don't hear me stance before. In general, when you talk about democracy, now let Poku party them participate. But we all know the country we talk about. The only small party them where we talk against government, now them bar say they not take part in an election. The C4C been get 50-50 between the government support and then the one who oppose. So now they ban them. They ban unity party. All the block with the upper, they support government. So me, we say at the time when at the top, like it's like people them just one side line the other political party them. It's not like that. It is based on their actions. Say we didn't forget back rest for it. We can't for long go feed the family them. And that's not the purpose of you coming to organize parties or owning parties or forming parties. You can't contest genuinely. They only oppose government. They count all kind of things they support them because they don't give them money. Because then they talk and boldly saying that they make them free. So I can only talk about that. If we not talk like as if the people here they just disadvantage them because the people out of undemocratic tendencies. But now the base of the participation for the election and the things they wouldn't do and the things they wouldn't say. Now you make the APC go and abuse that the APC they let them put them, let them bar them if they know win 2 term election. So now that thing that I want to talk about this we are doing today. Thank you, gentlemen.
Yeah, and if I may say something quickly before Mr. Mengot get in. I mean, for that the whole process, I mean, we can pass law because it's rumored all the time that parliamentarians are bribed by governments in power. If it is so, pass legislation for prohibit that. That is illegal because we have to be able to make the system work. But you cannot allow a few people for skew the system to their your advantage at the great disadvantage to the rest of the country. But people being people, you always have selfish people. They're not going to see things any other way for their best interests. But that's why we as human beings, we have laws. So for craft legislation, way for prohibit that, not for make that part of a practice. In most countries, I mean, can you imagine the president, if they don't say any country, they bribe parliamentarians, them, that would be a serious violation. So why should we allow that to go forward? Or other governments, as with Yeri, don't do that before, where then they bribe parliamentarians them. So that's such a gross disservice to the country, I mean, in fact, it's an insult to the entire nation. So that can be taken care of as a follow-up aspect in terms of minimizing the corruption here. Mr. Mengot, if you don't mind, let me take one more call. Hello, caller. What's your name? What's you call from?
Yeah. Good evening, Mr. Mengot and Mr. Shino. Happy New Year to you. It's not from Maryland.
Same to you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Abdul.
Yeah. First and foremost, this constitutional amendment, we don't talk at times that number overdue, but waiting they happen right now, mistrust, distrust, and suspicion, and they happen because you wanna find out say both parties then they approach the constitutional amendment not in good faith.
No, you're right.
Now. Then they approach them for student party. SLPP proposals where they don't advance on the parliament. Now for SLPP. Because they're not the members say this constitutional amendment now something where they will pass, we go serve posterity and then go for the good of the country. So then both parties, they play that jigsaw puzzle. There is no sincerity. There is so much of shenanigans, gimmicks, political gimmicks. All through the exhibit. When I go through there are good things in some of these because now the electioneering aspects they advance. But the sticking points, are some young and I go jog on a memory. When I remember say when we talk about the census last year, some time ago, I give you the timeline where the census number right 2025. I tell you I say there is every likelihood they're not going to use the new census results for do constitutional boundaries, they're not going to use them because the time go don't go. They go down close to election. So they say, well, they're not go and do them. Because we find out, say, according to this new elections bill, this new constitutional bill, they say the decennial census go be used 2 years before the presidential election. Well, it not go possible for let them use them. Then this other thing way again are this PR system and this one first past the post. At least up till now, the two parties are not getting consensus. But like when we discussed last year, they forget to find out, they get for reach a middle ground for see which of the electoral system they will go to the country. Whether that is first past the post or the PR system, what type of PR system. But from the look of things, you dey see say government where they in power, they're not sincere. Though APC themselves get their own agenda because they want pass something, we go suit them. We go keep them in power, it can come in power next step. So you see this dichotomy between two parties them. And the appointment of the search committee, the reason we make that aspect they come na the tripartite. Now because sincerity no me dey on the one way them we don't when we dey at the constitution on the aspect of consultation. None of the party they not ever care that case they go na the Supreme Court for interpret. Waiting that word them in consultation. Tijan Kaba use them. When it just appoint, it just inform the party them, and the Skoma come at the same thing. Don't do. It just inform that Marabio at the same thing. They don't inform. So that reason that make them say such a nomination committee, even though I get myself get me own bone of contention with that because all the groups where they mention, the groups can go push forward a member for that search committee. You go members of the public go still ascribe them, say this person an SLP, this person an SAPC sympathizer. It not go still solve the problem from my own look of things. People can go still. Let's say for example, the journalists, they say the advance Uma Ufofana, say Uma Ufofana, okay, go represent me. You go get people who go talk, say Uma afterwards, Uma Ufofana na SLP or na APC or Julius Spencer because he's a journalist, he get in newspaper. So it is still going to be difficult for me to see because that trust no day, mistrust, suspicion, distrust 9 don't day. And the 50 plus 1, the reason we to make SLPP put that 50 plus 1 plus 25% of 2/3 now because 20% of 2/3 now because they no say they go able for achieve that, but it was difficult for them to achieve that. Now that make them they say 20% of 2/3, and I support Abdulkago in your proposal. Only way they go stop that. Now when they go stop, then go not go allow any of the government for let them increase districts again. The districts are on there for just bidding. They're not for increase non-districts again in future. If they only do that, then perhaps that will go work. The 20% or the 25%, whatever the case may be. But if any government will come in a great new district, that thing will not go work. So now some of the things that at the end, when I don't mention about the independent candidates and the registration of political parties, maybe totally they are against. And not say because now they're trading babs there on 2 paper. SLPP they say now APC now put that clause there. APC they say now SLPP put that clause there for the registered party will not win election twice. So now some of them things and they where me see say the stalemate dey, but e left to parliament for let parliament do due diligence for let we go get a better constitution. I'm not saying them go modify am, do and the way them go want, so that whatever will come out of it, it will be something that will be win-win for everybody. I just say I'll make this constitution as stop so far. Thank you very much.
You're quite welcome. Mr. Mengot, go ahead, sir.
Well, Mr. Shilon, one of the things that you say, where you talk about laws for challenging lawyer, the interesting thing with our governance system, and it's in the Constitution as well, I know get the relevant citation. The Supreme Court can only intervene after the law has been passed, and they only have to interpret the law, not to for thwart or interfere in the passage of the law. The only way we can stop this, according to parliamentary rules and privileges, now if there is a public petition, because we get public petition committee, where if there is a public petition against either a total withdrawal of the bill or certain sections to be expunged from the bill, then according to rules and procedure of parliament, it should be considered. But again, let's go to the issue of this whole issue about would I win presidential election, would I win parliamentary election. It is but fair for law end up would I agree waiting the opposition then concerned about. Let's listen to the last video and do this analysis of waiting the Deputy Speaker of Parliament in the say, when they represent the ruling party, and it's also the chairman of the Public Accounts Committee. And I think in they talk about the PR system, because this PR system is another critical issue when I recommendation 78, because the Attorney General say, then take Kawani recommendation, say it will be a permanent system of government or election in the Constitution. Now listen to what Honorable Tawaga for saying.
Again, if I may interrupt, there is a caller, Mr. Mingot, if you don't mind, we just ask us some young question go until within this video they can't talk, but we can just address everything in one, if you don't mind.
Okay. Yeah.
Hello, caller. What your name inside you call from?
Oh yes, thank you very much, Mr. Shilon, Mr. Mengot. You guys are great. You do a lot. I wish these people can be able to follow to waiting when they say naya and the interest way when I get for the country. But all on a busy time schedule, now the left can address this Salone problem. I don't know further to what we're going to do if we're not able get like a contact like Lawyer Shilon. So from Mr. Mengot, after being at the follow-on for a while, I know he take parts, he don't involve into so many areas of development, helping try for bring the Salone into the landmark based on what he do. But yet there is no way through by the look of things, because if you look at all this road safety and all this parliamentary sitting where you get enough knowledge of, but I know due to certain things and I'm not sitting and gather space. So Mr. Shilon as a lawyer, and today the problem what we get is the law department. If any country will not get law and order, that country is totally broke. So I don't know which help with the experience you get, because people like you, what we be proud of, so get as a way they outside, where they serve. Now, a country like in the United States, in Britain, just like what they will get people there, like you type and so. So, and I'm sure most of your colleagues, like and you included, will not be ready for help with nation. But these people, when you get a rogue politicians, they want for just galvanize themselves. They try for not even for consult or for even seek expertise from outside people. They don't want that. So instead, they continue for making them draconian laws there. And then they affect people today. And we look at what is happening now when we go towards this roadmap for 2028, which for me, I'm not sure say there's going to be any election in 2028. By the look of things, because we follow the grassroots and we know what is the boiling land at Sierra Leone today. We see the problems with these politicians and the create. We see their laws. In the first place, what's in the PR system? So we don't come out before. People they need to first pass the post and they now bring 25%, 20%. How that's tenable? If you are popular, if you do well with the people, leave the vote open. Yes, for me, that's what I think. But why won't they bring them laws there? Why won't they bring their sectors there? One for make a census, a midterm census, we're not even giving any better information. To all this today now. Why would we even make it 2025, census? Or instead they make a midterm census just because they want to bring away for still the election, and they succeeded in that. They bring 2022 election act. They make another act, this local election act. They succeed in that. So they use Abbas Budu with all these people with the knowledge what we expect. Abbas when they come work genuinely, but how they do? They use them. Take up. Now the democracy begin broke. Take off 10 parliamentarians. You must try to install a speaker. Now look at the bottom. Who's the problem started? Today we will not end up so now. People who trust what they say for go parliament for arguing for making them become straight like people like Kanye Keller. No, they said go and join, they skill the process. Today we see that this guy they have no idea. How did you go see Alpha to say the Attorney General, Minister of Justice? So, and he's appointed by the executive. Look at these young guys. They don't have knowledge, to be honest with you. They don't get what it takes for making them manage some of these offices. If people like Una don't actually come in for help in the process for what could transform Sierra Leone, it will be a very difficult way. If we left on the hands of these our young brothers. Because these people expect much from them. But look at them today. If you listen to some of these lawyers, you wonder who said they study law. You look at them give out, they say na barrister. You look at these people. These people who for their parliament, who for be neutral, who for argue, even if nice people everybody come in. But you are there for the people. But look at them today. Before they start making statements, say they're all in for the PR system. Because that this they feel say, they go hold them in power. So they follow the rhetoric the way they talk. They're not talking for the people. The so-called lawyers, they sit down because then are parliament, they say na lawyer. But when they go to television, you see what they talk. They see the thing which they affect the people, and they see the suffering of the people. But these guys is like they don't do just one for no. So if we allow these people for continue this way, it's gonna be a burden on us. It's a problem for everybody. Now we sit down back and begin to count the cost. And what did happen in 1990, how the war came to and they come ravage the nation. That's where it started. So we'll not be quiet, just the cultural revolution. And now make some of us to be very much grateful with this US platform. You, Matilda, and Mr. Carbo, of course, is doing a fantastic work, analyzing most of these issues. But these guys listening, and these are the problem today. 2028 is not tenable for God's sake, Mr. Shilon and Mr. Mengot. I'm telling you this. We, this younger within social media, we know what did happen. And look at even this appetite. Some people don't come to now, don't make an agreement. They break and then be there for endorsement now. Now they can't begin to fish other one again for skill the law. Well, make no sense. After I don't put in money, if you say United States America, they just go take money, put the taxpayers on for can't pour in, for can't make loss for we or what. No. Now because we are not serious. They don't need to talk to us for big we for we own better one. With all what you have, other countries they progress. Senegal, I know they don't progress in these young boys. Look at Liberia, they don't moving on. But when you have rogue politicians, wicked politicians, greedy politicians, and they install the country back, and I make a deal with the socially. Every law so they agree for implementing it, it's one problem. And they look at say now so APC we don't do and this and that people voted, you don't come in. You say you don't promise a lot for can take the country into a new direction. This is the direction. Look at how Saudi today. With all the brands the way Madam you say the brand Salone. Go look at Saudi. Are we branded? No. Now we are more into trouble with America, with this, with that, with young ones and the chopper. We don't go study now, you know they go study. We don't get DV now, you don't study. How about this? Now more put this party politics aside. Now more look at the country as a whole. And more look at the vulnerable people suffering. Anyway.
Okay, thank you so much.
Come of us, we can't thank you. The way we should, I accept because you guys are doing a fantastic job. Some of us are learning. We learn a lot to what you do. For the time when they can't take even.
Thanks a lot. We appreciate
will
everything.
Say what you foresee. So thank you very much, and some of us appreciate what you guys are doing. And God bless the US team, and God guide you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot. We appreciate everything. So, Mr. Mengo, you get a comment.
No, not really. I mean, just one look at the last video, if you get time, because it's always balanced. We don't hear from the last one. Wait for dealing with the speaker himself. We they talk about the key aspects.
Can we play that?
The PR system in your post you mentioned say APC they condemn them because they know lost seats na the western area. The SLPP or the government they push this because una want gain seats in the western area. Is it about more seats?
I go on for answer your question sincerely, and I go on for I want for do on record like I say yesterday na Radio Democracy. Like brother say, he say you don't fix what is not broken. You only fix.
The PR system in your post you mentioned say APC they condemn them because they know lost seats in the western area. The SLPP or the government they push this because una want gain seats in the western area. Is it about more seats?
I go on for answer your question sincerely, and I go on for I want for do on record like I say yesterday na Radio Democracy. Like brother say, he say you don't fix what is not broken. You only fix what's in a problem. What's in the inherent problem in the first past the post in Sierra Leone over the years? One, it creates inherent and unfair representation.
In what sense?
In a sense wherein me and Lamwana contest an election. For a constituency, you get 20,000 votes. Lamwana gets 10,500. Tawa get 9,500. But Lamwana nobody go parliament. Lamwana, in truth, if it is partisan, as the first past report has been, Lamwana they only represents truly the views of 10,500 people in office and 9 party people. Because anytime what the 9,000, anybody by 9,500 come to them. If Lamwana says one of the representative, we know they think about and they say a party person. In party people already they say this one this party there. So it has created a systematic exclusion.
But the same with the PR system, you still identify people like
hold on.
Support you.
Hold on, let me finish. Let me finish. Now, within a Lomley, me name na the list. Number 1 na SLPP list. Honorable Mahmoud Kamara, in name na SLPP list number 5. 2 things where the first past the post, where the PR system they do. Number 1, it forces members of parliament to do their work. Section 97 of the Constitution, like we say, we work now for represent. If we at parliament level, we 16 in our district, me, Timbo, Amaduba, Mahmoud Kamara, Mari Conte, APC, SLPP, we go to parliament every day. We're able for sit and discuss the issue of Western area. Then what are we saying? If we ask people or they make legislation, we say let people go work together at the civil service. We members of parliament, they say we cannot work together for a district. We all come out together. When are they born? When are they grow up? What are we saying? The proportional representation, as recommended by the Cowan Constitutional Review Committee, they create an enabling environment for let one, we able work together.
not with syndicates, and let the votes be proportionally represented and get many shades of opinions and voices in Parliament.
But people have been complaining that they don't. I don't ask a question. Do you know your members of Parliament who say I'm not having members?
Because the reason being because we still they carry forward the 1978 Constitution into the 1991 Constitution, feeling that in 1978 members of Parliament are ministers. You understand? It's a one-party constitution. Members of Parliament are ministers. So if me and a member of Parliament, I represent West. How do they call themselves? West 1 or Central 1. Yeah, me and a minister as well. So because me and a minister, I get portfolio, I get budget, I do work in a Central 1. The 1991 Constitution, what you do now for dissociate that whole day of Parliament performing a function, specific function, physical development function, to Parliament representing the voice of the people, listening to them as a district, get programs, listen to the voices, listen to the issues, monitor the issues, and account together, when I present a document. Now, in the 1991 Constitution, they say members of Parliament in the performance of their oversight in section 93(5). Now in they inform the passage of legislations, because every legislation the executive they carry it they touch on the lives and living patterns of people then now the country where the district where they is affected, because now they go oversight. If we move on over, say if we pass this law for NMA, like we will pass the Mines and Mineral Corporation Act, if we pass this law, we will make sure say we move the CDA from 0.01% to 1%, so that it improve the capacity of we look at stakeholders them for already able for engage in developmental activities for the mining communities. That is our function. Our function is to go make bridge. But because we still they make the people and feel say we function as a make bridge, they make the person go tell you say I not sabi this person. That is one. The other partner that you mentioned it, there are multiple ways of PR. Not to one size fits all, not to just the district block. In 1996, the country was one block. That is PR as well. But the country was not divided into central districts or Kailaon districts or Kono districts. It was one block. The number of votes we get, then they take calculate the proportion of your chances for going to Parliament. Now make CDP. That was after the war. Now make CDP Abu Yakoma was in Parliament. He became 4.5%, and he became the first Minister of Presidential and Parliamentary Affairs. So come to think of it, we don't move from that one block to a block where each district they get representation. What is wrong if we tweak the proportional representation? The reason, and I will say it in the presence of my brother, the reason what he make, instead of talk in his submission, say from the analysis of other elections in section 42, the percentage for win election, he say from the analogy we don't do. Now that the APC not all ever gets 2/3 in another 20% in 2/3 of all the districts. You're talking about the president of the country. You mandate for strong.
Not necessarily. Not necessarily.
Well, before you come, I go and take this man by word. He start by saying you don't fix what is not broken.
Yeah.
So what is not broken is what they're trying to fix.
Exactly. Exactly.
One of the other things I want to go before I done, where you been to talk about court, I want to read one section now Constitution. When I enter the critical issue, I think say nobody, beaucoup people are not look into them. And we'll continue with that. Then under section 94, subsection 2. I will read it in English. Then listen carefully, Mr. Shilon. It said, notwithstanding anything to the contrary in this constitution or any other law contained. Listen to the emphasis. No decision, order, or direction of Parliament or any of its committees or the Speaker relating to the rules of procedure of Parliament or to the application or interpretation of such rules may or any act done or purporting to have been done by Parliament or by the Speaker under this rule shall be inquired into by any court. In other words, whatever parliament they do, the process by which they do them,
Is that the
is above
constitution you read?
any judicial review.
That's the constitution. You say
judiciary
that? That's the constitution.
That's from the Constitution.
That is ridiculous.
That's section 94(2) of the Constitution.
It just shows you the level of the education or the legal acumen or fitness of the people in a way. How can you say any action that just nullifies almost everything in the law, in the sense that judicial review will be bad. So this just promote corruption. That section there where you just read through, you know, it makes no sense to me. I mean, it can be done. They can put it in the Constitution. Then you go back to the practices of the one-party system way back then. We are not serious. We're not serious. I mean, they can put anything. I mean, you can put in the Constitution that nobody has a right to walk to walk after 7 o'clock na Shaka Stevens Street. It can be in the Constitution, yeah.
Just to interject, sir, it come back to a recent case study. You remember when that particular journalist was actually barred from going to Parliament?
Yeah, but I don't think the Speaker has that power.
Well, according to this law way I read so, na Parliament, he cannot go to court for exercising right for participate in parliamentary procedures and reporting. So I feel say these are some of the things were wrong with the Constitution. Exactly. That is my view. This is why we have to deal with the law, with the issue as a whole, this constitutional amendment, because like I've always said, the Speaker should not, if he does, I'm not sure he does, but even if he does, he should not have the power to just unilaterally ban somebody from the grounds of Parliament only because he doesn't like what the person said. That is so arbitrary and capricious. So you know, these people should take this Constitution seriously, not to all kind of Tom, Dick, and Harry for the right Constitution. I would take serious-minded, well-educated, well-meaning, very committed people and for write this Constitution for serious. Otherwise, let every government come. So one day another government will come say, after 7 o'clock, you can't go by Connaught Hospital or Kuta Road. It's in the Constitution. Just like one of the things they work for in the Constitution when they did it, now the census, as important as the census is, it's not in the Constitution. Instead, then go put, they say, the president so fixate in giving the president more power. Then go put, they say, the president, whenever he feels, can just call for I don't know how to describe the census, which is wrong. The Constitution should contain, it should have a law, a reference to when a census can be conducted, and we don't seem to have it at all. Such an important. Well, just to end on that, the same section I read, 94, subparagraph 4. This is why we need a complete overhaul of the Constitution again. It says, Parliament may, for the purpose of the orderly and effective discharge of its business, make provisions for the powers, privileges, and immunities of Parliament, its committees, and members thereof. So in other words, if Parliament do anything wrong, they can exonerate themselves without being challenged. Interesting. I mean, they are entitled to some kind of immunity. I don't dispute that, but it should not be broad and arbitrary. That's all I can say. I think things that are done in the process of legislative matters, you should be immune. I mean, I get no problem with that. You know. So I think with that, I don't know if you get any more things. No, sir. I think I go end by waiting Honorable Taha say you don't have to fix what is not broken. But some of them think they are always where they're outside, even this electioneering process. Make sure say we get a lot of things to do in terms of our parliamentary review. So I think there's one last comment. I don't know if you are reading for me, and then I go bow out of.
Well, it is saying this is one moment of time where the politicians and judiciary have to get it right. I think that's what she meant. Well, this is one moment indeed, but there are many more other moments they should try to get things right in Sierra Leone. So indeed, this is one.
There's another comment again.
Yeah, even late Abdullahi Conte was defeated in court when the SLPP government forced the PR on the citizens, even with existing constituencies. Do I need to read it again? Because I'm sure this is just to be read, not for analysis. Even the late Abdullahi Conte was defeated in court when the SLPP government forced the PR on the citizens, even with existing constituencies. So I don't know what point in time, but this is what in the comments states.
Well, in other words, what you were saying at the time when they passed the PR, we had constituencies, but then the court decided otherwise, that the PR was necessary and procedural. So we have a lot of things to do. We have a lot of way to go. I think we'll continue with this issue, but I still stand by the opinion that say of all the constitutional order introduced, which I did last year, from 1971, which was the Republican Constitution, to the 1978, which was the one-party constitution, and to this very 1991 constitution, controversial as they may be, they were all done based on the approval of the people through a referendum. Why are we going to change? The government is non-committal for having a referendum. In my view, it means if we pass some of the constitutional laws there, and we not get time for referendum, now we'll take for all the next election, we will bring more problem than they try for solve. So with that, we will continue for update members them, and we'll keep Parliament watch. And when they reach at committee stage or debate stage, we will see how the members of Parliament they take this issue. So I see one more comment, and if not, I think we've actually exhausted our time. We've done a lot of discussion. I thank all in already listening to me. I don't have much at this moment, and we'll continue for upgrading and see what's in the happen as the bill goes through the various stages until it becomes law.
Thank you. Good night, everyone.